Okay, this does not look too bad. So, shit, I forgot one thing. Hold on. Don't talk about them on this channel. But anywho, all right, so hello and welcome to Unspooled. I am your host, Isaac Coate. I'm realizing now this is probably a horrible spot. My air conditioner right behind me going. So, hopefully it's not too awful. I'm loud enough, I should overtake it. As you see in the title, this is the first pickups video that I'm doing. Today was the first day of the Half Price Books clearance sale here in Indy. So, of course, you know, had to make my biannual trek down there. They have 2 a year. So this is the, I'd say, usually their worst one. This one is free parking, smaller space. There are other ones at the state fairgrounds, which is, you have to pay for parking and a lot bigger building, so they have a lot more shit to look through, a lot more stuff to choose from. But today did very, very well here. Got about 100 items, roughly, give or take. So you go through everything I picked up, including the non-movie or TV stuff too. So if you're interested in that, you'll get a nice little 5-6 items here right at the start. So we'll start there with the graphic novels I picked up. I'm not a huge standard book reader, not a huge manga reader. I don't mind manga in general, but I don't actively seek it out unless someone tells me, oh, this manga is incredible, you got to read this one, which, luckily hasn't happened for quite a while, thankfully, since Death Note. So, but I do quite enjoy graphic novels quite a bit, so I took a stroll through their section. Everything you see here today, everything I talk about, was $2, every single item, unless it's stickered less, which I did not have any of that. So everything here, regardless of what the price tag on it says, if you're able to read that from as far away from the item as you will be, which is probably unlikely. Disregard that. Everything was $2 unless the sticker was less, which I did not have any items of that, as I said. So I paid $2 for every single item here today. So we'll begin with the 6 graphic novels I picked up. First, this is the Halo graphic novel. Of course, I'm a huge fan of the Halo franchise, at least the original trilogy. For certain, the later ones is a bit iffy, but this is the graphic novel adaptation. I've heard good things about this. I've not read it before. Looks very nice. Looks very good here in terms of the artwork. Looks real. Looks like some nice artwork in here, which is very important. And looking forward to reading this one sometime soon. Next, I picked up some Neil Gaiman. This is the Complete Comics Volume 1 of Mr. Hero, the Pneumatic Man. Not heard of this one. Heard this one before, so I'm assuming it's not that great. But I love Neil Gaiman, and I didn't have this yet, so went ahead and picked it up. Another one I didn't have yet, of course. Why else would I be buying them? This is Sin City, The Hard Goodbye, Volume 1. Very, big fan of the Sin City, the first movie. Haven't checked out the second. I do own it, but haven't gotten around to watching it yet. Have not heard great things about it, but very excited to start reading something from the Sin City comic line. I don't think this is the one that the original movie is adapted from. I don't really know offhand, but I should look that up. Anywho, I picked up 2 trade editions of big comic runs, mini series events type stuff. This is a DC one of the Death of Superman. Went ahead and picked this up. I figured that, the Death of Superman in the comics has to be far more interesting than it was in the film universe of DC. So very, at least the live action, I've heard about there is an animated DC Death of Superman movie that's supposed to be really good. So from what I remember, so, I'll be looking into that at some point, but looking forward to reading the comic that starts from. Then the other Neil Gaiman I picked up, this is another complete comic volume 1. This is of Technophage. Don't know, haven't heard of this one before either, but as I said with the other one, quite enjoy Neil Gaiman's work, so thought I would try and check these out and see if they're utter shit or pretty good. Then the other trade of a extended comic run. This is the Phoenix Rising X-Men storyline. So this is the one they tried to make into X-Men 3, which failed spectacularly. And then they're trying it again with Dark Phoenix, which I think is later this year or maybe next year now, I forget, but they're trying it again. So I'm looking forward to reading, seeing how it goes in the comic. I assume is much better than it went in The Last Stand. So now I'll move to the actual movies, TV stuff here, which is what you're here for. If you're watching this from my channel, then that's what you're here for. First, I must get through the stand-up comedy and music DVDs I picked up. So I have alphabetized these ones because there's a lot less of them. I have not even bothered to start working on all of this other shit yet. So the stand-up comedy is alphabetical by performer. So we'll start there. This is Lewis Black, Red, White, and Screwed. A George Carlin double feature of Jammin' in New York, which I have the CD version of, which is great. Very interested to see if the DVD is any different. I doubt it is, but maybe it was. Maybe they cut something out of the CD version. And then also with Doing It Again on here, which I've not heard of that one. As far as I don't own that in any other way. Maybe I have heard it before, bits and pieces, but so very excited about that. And then another George Carlin, Life is Worth Losing. Then Ellen DeGeneres, Here and Now. So very excited for that, of course. This was, I would say, outside of the movies, this was probably the find of the day for me that's not in the movies, which there are quite a few like incredible pickups in the movies that we'll get to. So this is a stand-up special from Craig Ferguson. Does this need to be said? A huge fan of Craig Ferguson, the Late Late Show, or not? Well, it's Late Late Show now with Corden, but I think it was probably the Late Late Show with him. I forget now. Anywho, loved that show. Watched it whenever I could when he was on, and very, very thrilled to see what he was doing in his stand-up work here. Then Jim Gaffigan, King Baby. This is a very good one. heard and watched this one before, but haven't owned it until now. Martin Lawrence Live. I'm going to butcher this. This is, I think, Runteldot, I think, is the name of the special. But Martin Lawrence, I enjoy his stand-up. Not much else that he does, but I enjoy his stand-up, so had to pick that one up. Eddie Murphy, his Raw special. Eddie Murphy's nearly the inverse of Martin Lawrence. I'm not the hugest fan of his stand-up work, but I do quite enjoy most of his film work. But I've grown more accustomed to some of his stand-up, so looking forward to checking that one out. And then technically, I don't really think this is stand-up comedy, but I didn't know where else to put this because it's not a movie, it's not TV special, so or anything. So I didn't know where else to put this, so I put this with the stand-up comedy. This is An Evening with Kevin Smith. Of course, film director Kevin Smith. Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, you know, Red State, all that good shit. This is him like doing a Q&A session, basically. So I put this with the stand-up comedy. It's not really that, but I didn't know where in the world else to put this. So, oh well. So that is all of the stand-up comedy and Kevin Smith Q&A session videos, DVDs. So let's move into the music ones. Got 3 today. This is Radiohead with 7 television commercials. This is 7 tracks off of OK Computer. I think this might just be the music videos of them. I'm not really sure, but Radiohead, love Radiohead, so I pick up anything I see of them that I don't already have. This is Ramones Raw, which is 5 hours of uncensored Ramones content. You know, you got TV appearances, 20 live performances on here, so very thrilled to have picked that up. And then Tenacious D, The Complete Masterworks. So that is all of the comedy and music videos. So now we will move to the TV. Picked up a bit here, more than I usually do. Well, actually, that's not true. This is probably less than I usually pick up, because usually at these sales you can get a bunch of Family Guy and American Dad and South Park and all of those kind of shows. And over the years, I've gotten most of them, so I have most of the TV they have, or it's stuff I don't want. Like they have a lot of like Gilmore Girls and Charmed and Buffy, that kind of stuff. They have a lot of that, which I either already have all of, or I'm not particularly interested in getting, or it's just a bunch of random shit that I don't have any interest in. So this is a bit less TV than normal, but still some very good stuff. We'll start with the Blu-rays. Yes, they do have Blu-rays, and they are, yes, $2. Everything at the sales, $2 or less. So this was a terrific find. This is still sealed, factory sealed still. Blu-ray version of Mad Men Season 2. Now, I already owned this on DVD, but I was not going to pass up the Blu-ray sealed for $2. And also, I don't know if it's the same on all copies of the DVD version of this, but my version came in like this big box, like that it doesn't fit in my shelf. So I have to like take it out of its box and put just the disc part on the shelf, or I have to put it somewhere else, or I have to lay it on its side, or like tilt it at an angle that looks really awful and takes up way more space than it should. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'll pick up the Blu-ray here for $2. It's fine. I'll live with paying $2 to duplicate something, which I do again later in the movies. Picked up How I Met Your Mother season 4 on Blu-ray here. I have the first 2. I started the first season a couple nights ago now. It's okay. I liked it enough to pick up some future. Unfortunately, they did not have season 3 in what I deemed playable condition. So maybe it'll be there one of the future days. Then this was interesting. I didn't actually know this existed. This is the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Christmas special. So I did not know they made a Christmas special. But love Always Sunny, so had to pick that one up for $2. Then Modern Family season 3, which now I believe gives me the first. It's either 5 or 6. I forget offhand seasons. So glad to have that. Then technically this isn't TV. It is a movie, but it's a movie from a television series, and I put all that stuff together. You know, all the Babylon 5 movies. I have in the TV section. The Star Trek movies are in the TV section with the Star Trek. So, you know, that's just how I do it. So this is Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Now, I've watched this before. Now, this is not the worst Power Rangers movie by far. It's not great. It's not really even good, but it's campy, silly fun. It's fine, but it's nothing that great. But it's fun and silly enough to be, you know, enjoyable as a Power Rangers film. Then Sex and the City season 3. Already had the first 2, so glad to pick up 3 here to continue that. This was partially incredible, partially sad, because this is the second season. They did not have the first, and I don't own the first. This series usually sells for a lot more than $2. But I don't buy for resell stuff, at least not this stuff. I usually will stroll through the video games for that if I want to do that. I did pick up a few that I stopped by my local gaming store on the way back home from the sale, traded them in already. So, but this is Carnival, I think it's Carnival, season 2. Now this is an HBO show that, from what I've heard, is supposedly basically Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones existed, which, you know, huge fan of Thrones. So, and this does sound somewhat interesting. It's kind of like a magical fantasy type thing, I think. So it sounds like it could be really, really cool. So hopefully I can find season 1 at some point for not an absurd price. Because actually you can see on the box here, I don't think you could read it, but that's the price sticker from the Half Price bookstore this came from. They wanted $5 for this. So I got it for $2, not a huge discount, but you know, but that's fine. Then this was interesting. I hadn't heard of this show before, but I saw it. I was like, oh, that might be interesting. It's an Adult Swim show, so it could either be awful, or it could be, you know, pretty damn good. So I'll grab this one. I'll check it out, and I'll see. This is C-Lab 2021 season 1. So I don't know if this show's any good or not, but it sounded moderately interesting to me. So I thought I would check it out here for $2. Another one much like that. Now I had heard of this one before, so I thought I would check it out for $2 though, because I hadn't watched it before. This is Hot in Cleveland season 1. As you saw from my shirt when I was coming back from getting the comics there, the graphic novels, you know, big Golden Girls fan, so, you know, Betty White. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll give it a try. I heard good things when it aired, so at least initially. So I'll see if it holds true or not. Another show that I am a big fan of here, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is season 5. This is another show you can usually get at these half-price book sales. They had all 4, and they have 1 copy of 5, which of course I grabbed, so because I'm holding it right here now. So very, very wonderful. This is an interesting one. This is Lewis Black's Root of All Evil, which was a, I believe, very short-lived show on Comedy Central, of course hosted by Lewis Black, where he basically discusses random stuff and lets you know why it's awful, basically. Kind of like Adam Ruins Everything, I think. That's the kind of the maybe modern equivalent, but this with a lot more swearing, I believe, so thought I'd check it out. Then this is Spider-Man, the new animated series, you know, new in 2003 when this came out. This is the first season of the Spider-Man animated series, so thought I would check it out. And then The Simpsons season 15. So I don't think I need to talk about that much. So now we can move to the movies. I've got here, I got 6 stacks here of movies to go through. So we'll start with the Blu-rays, which there were quite a few Blu-rays today. Only 2 really with slip covers, but that's fine. I don't go to the half-price book sale for, you know, pristine quality, you know, fully intact, complete collecting stuff. It's just, okay, yeah, I want this movie, you know. I'm not one of those collectors that needs everything, you know, pristine, brand new condition with all the slips and all the extra shit. Like, no, I don't care. As long as, you know, if I'm buying the Blu-ray, as long as you have the Blu-ray disc in here, in a case with the artwork here, you know, with the book, with the artwork, and the disc looks like it will play, I'm pretty much down. Unless it's something I'm highly, highly sought after, then I'm more picky, but that's not too often. So this is Paranormal Activity 2. I heard about these when they came out. You know, some people loved at least the first 2, I think, and then after this, from what I remember, hardly anyone likes 3 and on, from what I remember at the time. But some people really liked these first 2. Some people hated all of them, but I thought I'd at least check it out and see for myself, of course. Then this is The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Now this is technically the sequel to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Unfortunately, this is not the David Fincher version. Actually, this is the 3rd one. I apologize. This is not, you know, the David Fincher trilogy. This is, I believe, the Swedish trilogy with Naomi Rapace as the lead instead of, I forget who right now. But anywho, this trilogy of adaptations is supposed to be very good. You know, Fincher's was really good too. But this is supposed to be really good, so I thought I would check it out. Another film here that I heard a lot of people talking about and saying, oh, this is a really good one, so I thought, okay, I'll check it out here now. The Hangover. You know, these kind of movies usually aren't my kind of thing here. But you know, I thought I'd check it out just to be sure, which is kind of a bad decision, as you'll see later. I'm a bit of a completionist, so I may have grabbed Hangover 2 as well. I did. I was going to grab 3, but I couldn't find a copy, so oh well. This is The Lost Boys. This just looked interesting. It's a vampire movie. Now, the one thing that gave me trepidation, you know, is right here on the back, directed by Joel Schumacher. Now, you know, talk to me about 3 months ago, and I'd be like, God, no. I'm not going to subject myself to another fucking Joel Schumacher movie. But, you know, admittedly, over the last couple months, I've become a bit more soft with Schumacher. Like, some of his stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, this is not very good, but it's at least entertaining, you know, in a shitty way, but it's still at least entertaining. So that's at least what I'm hoping to get out of this one. Then this is Curse of the Golden Flower. Never heard of this before. Only reason I bought this right here down on the bottom, it has the Sony Classics imprint right here on it. So Sony Classics is usually, at least to me, pretty damn good stuff. So I usually will pick up a Mike Judge film, you know, Office Space, Beavis and Butthead, Idiocracy, that guy. So I thought I'd see if his other stuff's any good. This is Machete Kills, the sequel to Machete. I enjoyed the first one, so I thought, you know, just at least check this one out, see if it's the same kind of absurd fun or not. This one, you know, partially huge fan of David Fincher, so, you know, want to get all his stuff, even though this is a film I've never really been too interested in. But you know what? I'm probably not going to get the chance to get it for $2 again, so I picked up The Social Network. To me, I just don't find this story to be, you know, remotely interesting. Like, it's about the founding of Facebook. Like, that's your fucking movie about the start of Facebook. Okay, now this is like the collector's edition, I think. Yes, the 2-disc collector's edition with this nice half slip that just, you know, goes right over the top and folds right off. So, you know, very easy to lose. So, I don't know. You know, I like Fincher. I like Sorkin, who wrote it. So, I like them both, you know, to varying degrees. So, everyone I've heard says this is, you know, either good to fucking incredible. So, I can't believe it with, you know, what the movie's about, but, you know, whatever, you know, I quite enjoyed Molly's Game, and that's literally about poker, which, like, yeah, that's not too interesting of a topic either, but I quite enjoyed it nonetheless. So this might be like that. Bad Boys. So speaking of directors I normally hate, this is from Michael Bay. And yeah, from what I've heard, you know, this is like his one good movie. So I figured, you know what, if I'm going to subject myself to the shit that is his Transformers, I was about to say trilogy, but then I remembered, oh God, there's 5 of them. His Transformers dumpster fire. Then, you know, I might as well see, you know, what his supposedly good stuff was that got him to be able to make, you know, those movies with that high of a budget. The Descendants. So, if you follow the Twitter account, you saw, you know, I watched Downsizing within the last week now. And yeah, it was disgusting. Not really disgusting, but it was not good. It was pretty bad. So I mostly bought this for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you know, big fan of Alexander Payne normally. So wanted to get it. And then it's like, also I was like, I walked in there today with one goal in mind, basically, of I need to walk out of here with a copy of a good Alexander Payne movie. Even if it's just I buy Nebraska again, even though I already own it. I need to do it, you know. Luckily, they had Descendants, which I didn't have already, so glad to have gotten that. Then these next two, these are kind of more. I just heard so many people say, oh, these are great for varying reasons. So I was like, all right, fuck it. For a combined $4. Should be $6, but they didn't have the third. Why not? This is Taken 1 and 2. So pretty simple there. This is Wanted. Another one I've heard varying responses to. Some people like it, some people don't. I just thought, you know, it seems interesting. I know they use a lot of that slow motion bullet shit, which is, you know, some people don't like. I don't mind unless it's, you know, insanely excessive, which this might get into that territory. I don't know. Now, I already own this movie, but I bought the Blu-ray anyway. Now, this is Lord of the Rings. This is unfortunately only the Two Towers. That was the only one I found. Now, of course, I own the extended edition of all three of these on DVD separately. But you know what? I want to have the Blu-ray copies of the theatrical cuts at bare minimum, so as well. So I was like, you know what? For $2, yeah, I'll go right ahead and pick that up. Anyway. This next one is an awful film, but I'm a completionist, so I had to pick it up anyway. This is Alien versus Predator Requiem. Yeah, this is a piece of shit. Do not buy this movie. Do not watch this movie. It is atrocious. But, you know, needed it for Alien mostly. And Predator technically too, but don't bother. It's a piece of shit. The first Alien versus Predator isn't too bad. It's not great. It's okay. Admittedly, it's a bit slow. Like the first hour is pretty slow, and not in a good way. But after that, the first Alien versus Predator is all right. Once we get to the actual Alien and Predator part, it's okay. It's about what you'd expect, honestly. So, but the second one, no, just don't bother. Friday. You know, I just heard this is really good, so why not? Another thing, mostly my completionist streak and my curiosity may have gotten the best of me. Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. So I have the first one. I like the first Chronicles of Narnia one. I don't recall watching this one. I might have when it came out. What year was this? I don't know. I'm assuming this is pretty near like 08 or so, since on the back it's explaining what a Blu-ray is. Basically, 2008. So I may have seen this back when it came out when I was like 13. Yeah. So I may have seen it then. I don't really remember. But I own the first and I quite like the first one. So why not? Okay. Now this one's just one I've seen so many goddamn times at these sales every year. And I'm always like, no, that looks like a piece of shit. No, I'm not going to pick it up. And then this year I was finally like, God damn it, fine. Splice. I don't know. I don't know. My general rule sometimes is if there's a review quote on the box, if there's a box quote from Peter Travers, it's usually worth picking up. This has one right here on the front from Peter Travers. This is sexy and scary in equal doses. So I finally convinced myself to give it a try. Next, big Darren Aronofsky fan, so I was more or less, I'd say, obligated to pick up Noah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So now now that's all the Blu-rays. We're gonna head into DVDs in a second. I'm gonna go grab my water that for some reason I left 5 feet away from me. I don't know why I did that, but I did. Okay. This is Assassin's Creed Lineage. This is, I believe, an animated film. Maybe not. I don't think so, actually. It does not look like it. Anyway, this is a prequel to the Assassin's Creed 2. So I guess bridging the gap between 1 and 2. So I don't know. I liked those Assassin's Creed games, so thought I'd check it out. Brewster's Millions, Richard Pryor. That's the only reason I bought it. Halloween 2. This is the Rob Zombie one. Now, I don't dislike the first Rob Zombie Halloween film. I think it's a little excessive at times, which you know Rob Zombie usually is with some of his gore and sexual content, but is, you know, beyond that is a decent film. So I'm interested to see what he does with this. From what I've heard, this is a piece of shit, but I want to check it out just to see for myself. This is one that just looked and sounded so stupid that I couldn't resist. I'm a sucker for stuff that sounds insanely stupid. This is The Fifth Wave. Now, from what my very cursory 2-second internet research at the sale told me, is this is adapted from some teen book of the same name. So, you know, sometimes those can be good, sometimes not, you know. But this one just sounded so stupid that I thought it might be entertaining. So basically the premise is that aliens, you know, are coming and attacking Earth, right? And for some reason, they're going in waves of attacks, and 4 have already occurred. So, you know, this 5th wave is coming up and will destroy the planet, and somehow they have to stop it, apparently. So, I don't know. It sounded stupid, and reading the cast credits, Nick Robinson is in here, so at least there'll be something pretty to watch for a little while, maybe. So, I don't know. It sounded dumb enough that it might be entertaining. This next one is Bernie. This is a Richard Linklater film. That's the only reason I bought it. I don't know. It sounds maybe somewhat interesting, you know. So basically, Jack Black is this funeral director, and he murders, or is accused of murder. So I thought, you know, Linklater and a not awful sounding premise. Okay, I'm down. Purely because I am a completionist, so I was, you know, need every Tim Burton film. Dark Shadows, this is a piece of shit, don't bother. But I need it for my Tim Burton. Saw 5. I now have all the Saw movies except for Jigsaw. you know, I don't dislike the Saw movies. I don't love them. I don't pretend that they're, you know, high art or any shit like that. You know, I save my judgments of, oh, this is high art for stuff that actually is. Saw is not high art. Mostly after the first two Saw movies, the only reason I really watch them is like, what kind of insane shit can they come up with to put these people in? What kind of insane contraptions are they going to come up with? That's really the same thing like the Final Destination movies. Like after the first couple, it's really after the first one with that, it's okay. What insane ways are they going to come up with to murder these people? That's the only reason you watch those. That's the only reason I watched Saw after the first two. Mystery Men. I talked about this actually. If you follow my other podcast network, technically, the Glide, which technically this is part of the Glide podcast network, but technically, talked about this when we did our favorite superhero films list. So this is, you know, a very comedic take on the superhero genre, with Ben Stiller in it, as well as who else but good old Pee Wee Herman. Paul Reubens is in here too. So very good. Happy to finally own it now. Same deal here. Starship Troopers. Very good movie. Glad to finally own it now. Fruitvale Station. This is one I liked when it came out. So finally have the chance to pick it up for cheap. So I went ahead and did it, of course. Notorious, not the Hitchcock film, which I already own. This is the one about Notorious B.I.G. You know, big fan of his music, so thought I'd give the movie a try for once. Another one I've just heard so many people praise, and I, for some reason, have never seen and or owned. So, Blues Brothers. For reference, they did have Blues Brothers 2000, but I was able to resist my impulse on that one. So I did not buy that to have them. Probably happen when I go back on Sunday for the last day of the sale, but but on day one here, I was able to resist the urge of that. This one just sounded like an interesting fantasy epic. This is Hidalgo. Sounded like a pretty interesting kind of, not really fantasy. I guess this is more like kind of a Lawrence of Arabia style epic type of film. So Gladiator, that kind of shit, right? So it sounded like it might be interesting. This next one, Head of State. This is a Chris Rock directed film. So, you know, love his stand-up work. So generally enjoy his acting roles. So I'll be interested to see his directorial hand with that one. We talked earlier about my softening on Joel Schumacher. And continuing that, another Schumacher film. This is Phone Booth. Now, I did not actually know this is directed by Joel Schumacher. But, you know, I'd heard a lot of people say this is a very good movie, very interesting thriller, as it takes place mostly in and around a single location. And is very interesting, very, you know, tightly shot and all. And I did not realize this is actually a Joel Schumacher film. But I saw it, and I'm like, oh, Phone Booth. Okay, yeah, let me pick that up. And I pick it up, and the first words that greet me on the cover other than Phone Booth are a Joel Schumacher film. Like, oh, fuck, is this the wrong Phone Booth? And then I read the back, like, no, this is the right one. Oh, okay, didn't realize Schumacher. Okay, all righty then. This just sounded moderately entertaining, so I thought it might be good. This is probably a piece of shit, but I picked up The Collector. This is one of the Grail finds. We're actually going to save this for later, as is that. So we'll save those for the end. MacGruber. Finally got to pick that up. Great, great comedy. If you like spoofs of action films, MacGruber is for you. Hook. You know, I've heard it's really good. I've heard it sucks. Depends who you ask. So I'm ready to give it a shot myself, of course. This is one I know is not very good, but just sounds so insane. And, you know, How Did This Get Made, I believe, did a great episode on it. So I had to pick up Time Cop. Another Spielberg here, top off Hook. War of the Worlds. Yeah, I don't know. If you know you were interested in what Kathleen Kennedy did before she started, you know, basically being the head of Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy is a producer on this movie. So this is the kind of stuff she was working on before she started, you know, being the head of Star Wars, the head of Lucasfilm. You know, she was producing War of the Worlds and stuff. So if you're into that, little interesting factoid for you. Mark McDonough, loving, did 3 billboards last year. Love 7 Psychopaths as well. This one I've heard great things about. I unfortunately had not gotten the chance to watch this before. This is In Bruges. Again, completionist streak for Transformers Beginnings. This is, I believe, an animated thing, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, this is a prequel to the first Bay Transformers movie to let you know the background of, you know, what happened before Optimus Prime and Megatron came to Earth. Yeah. Now, this was incredible, too. This is not really a Grail find or anything like that, because I wasn't really looking for this ever, but this was just really, really good find that, you know, they had this. This is a combo pack of Jump Street, of 21 and 22 Jump Street, the recent ones, which I've heard both are great. You know, Lord and Miller is what made their name besides Lego Movie. Really, this got them in the spotlight. Lego Movie sealed it. So looking forward to checking those out for sure. Another Spielberg, The Adventures of Tintin. Continuing on, we now have Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. This is a Neville Dean Taylor film. You know, recently watched, well, not recently now, but months ago, you know, watched Mom and Dad from this year, which is, I believe, Taylor by himself. And this is another one that, you know, How Did This Get Made did a great episode on. So thought I would check this and some other Neville Dean and Taylor stuff out, which you'll see later. This is Gamer. Everyone's favorite. Well, I was going to say everyone's favorite awful actor, but then I remembered Keanu. So everyone's second favorite awful actor, Gerard Butler. So I thought I'd see what Michael Moore is all about. with Sicko. Then Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein. A Wes Anderson film, Bottle Rocket. Good God. Another completionist streak, Man of Steel. Now, Man of Steel is, without a doubt, the best of the Zack Snyder DC trilogy. This is by far the best of those three. Now, I would like to say that the main reason why is that this one is, you know, co-written kind of, as well as, you know, has a producer credit from Chris Nolan on it. That's what I'd like to think, that's why. But this is definitely, to me, the big reason why Man of Steel is the best of the Snyder trilogy. You know, this, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. I guess half of Justice League. This is the one without fucking Ben Affleck in it. You know, you don't have Affleck's fucking awful Batman in it. You know, Henry Cavill is actually a pretty good Superman. Admittedly, he's pretty good Superman. So this one's okay. The Transporter and the Transporter 2. You know, this is basically the these are basically rip-offs of the Crank movies, basically, from what I've heard. But, you know, thought I'd still give them a watch, check them out. Paul Thomas Anderson brought us Punch Drunk Love back in 2002, and still an incredible film. Very happy to own it now. This is actually the collector's edition version. I really should have saved this for the 2-disc special edition. I should have saved this down there in the Grail pile. Oh, well. With this really beautiful, you know, DVD pack here. You know, just really beautiful here. The booklet has some nice artwork in it too. You know, the crew there all together. You know, just really beautiful package here that they put together for this release of the film. This I really should have saved down in that Grail pile. Oh well. Incredible film. So, you know, love this one. Very, very happy to have that. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, another Mel Brooks. That goes down in the Grail pile. Top 5, another Chris Rock directorial outing. So very excited. That World War Z, I heard good things. And apparently is good enough that there's going to be a sequel. Or really, that's not really the case. Made enough money for a sequel. So interested to see that one, as well as with this one, as well, all of these pretty much, except for the couple that I only bought to complete a collection of some kind. This is Juice with Tupac. So interesting to see this, I think. I'll be interested to see this with Tupac's acting. The Dictator, I heard decent things about. So we'll see. Panic Room, a David Fincher film. Very good one, too. One of the most notoriously awful films ever made. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Also, one of the greatest unintentional comedies ever made as well. You know, from the legendary Ed Wood. This is just a masterpiece of how to make an awful film, even when you're trying your damnedest. That's part of what gives it so much charm, is that Ed Wood legitimately is giving a shit here. He's legitimately trying his hardest, even though the movie still is fucking awful on a technical level. It's still so much fun unintentionally, but it's still an absolute hilarious film. Unintentionally, but still hilarious. And presumably on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Lord Save Us from Your Followers. This is about a dude going around and talking with various religious leaders to search out and find the true face of religion in modern America. So, I don't know, I thought this could be really funny. It could also really suck, but I thought it could be interesting. So I thought obviously thought I'd check it out. Up next, we have Arthur. This is the original British film, not the Russell Brand remake. So heard a lot of great things, so thought I would get it. Speaking of Alex Payne from way earlier now, Sideways. This is a horror film that just looked and sounded moderately interesting here. This is The Innkeepers. Another one that looked interesting, Sinister 2. Unfortunately, they did not have the first. I don't have the first either, so I'll probably have to get it from my library or something. But picked up Sinister 2. Another sequel I picked up. No, I do own the original of this. Love the original. Love the first one. I did not even know there was a sequel. It was something I learned today when I saw it in the box there at the sale. I was like, the fuck is that? What? Oh, they made that. Well, I better pick it up then. This is Mean Girls 2. Yeah, my brief internet research told me this sucks, but which I assume it does since I had never heard about it before. But, I'll give everything a chance. Up next, the Butterfly Effect collection. This is Butterfly Effect 1 and 2. The first one I've heard is really good. The second, I haven't really heard anything about. But, I don't know. We'll see. Southland Tales. This is from Richard Kelly, who directed Donnie Darko. This is another one of his films, so thought I'd check it out. This is one mostly, it doesn't sound awful, and this is 3 movies for $2, so okay, I'll check it out. This is the Skulls trilogy. It's just the Skulls 1 through 3. It sounded moderately interesting, about this elite secret society that, will do anything for you as long as you're willing to keep their secrets and all. So, I don't know. I thought it could be entertaining. It could also be a honking pile of shit, but, I'm used to that by now. Hamlet 2. This is about a high school drama teacher who writes a sequel to Hamlet. This is supposed to be insanely funny from what I've heard from people. So very excited for that. From William Friedkin, To Live and Die in L.A. This is Planet Terror. This is basically known as the movie where Jessica Alba, I believe, right? No, I don't think so. Rose McGowan, sorry. This is the movie known as where Rose McGowan has a machine gun leg, like a literal machine gun for a leg. So we'll see. The sequel just came out, so I was happy to pick up the original to see if it's any good. Super Troopers. Punisher, Warzone, another. If you listen to our favorite superhero movies show, I believe I brought this one up. Very, very good film. You know, very fun too. Speaking of fun, Crank 2, High Voltage. This is supposed to be absolute insanity. But looking forward to it. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We have Lord of War. Perks of Being a Wallflower. Quite enjoyed this movie when it came out, so looking forward to rewatching that. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Of course, one I've heard a lot about, so happy to pick that up finally. The Final Destination in 3D. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it in 3D. This is another one that partially intrigued me from its directing credit, but also just sounded so fucking insane. But I also remember reading this book back when it came out and quite enjoying the book. So this is I Am Number 4, directed by DJ Caruso, who did Disturbia, which is a very good film. Now, I remember liking this book, so we'll see if the movie's any good. Scary Movie, the original one, sadly did not have this yet, but rectified that. Of course, mentioned way back, Hangover 2. Once Upon a Time in Mexico. The Color of Money, adding to the Scorsese collection. Horrible Bosses, supposed to be pretty good comedy. Leaving Las Vegas. This is one that just sounded interesting to me, so I thought I'd check it out. The Raid, Redemption, another that sounded really good to me, so I thought I'd check it out. Death at a Funeral, Chris Rock, that's why I bought it. The Final Cut, this sounded pretty interesting, so thought I'd check it out. Bowling for Columbine. Heard a lot of good stuff about this film, so happy to pick it up. Paranormal Activity 3. They did not have the first, and I don't have the first already. So Rango, one I heard a lot of good things about. Didn't ever check it out, but very excited to be able to now. The Age of Innocence, to add to the Scorsese collection. Moscow on the Hudson. The only reason I bought this is for Robin Williams. That's the only reason. The premise honestly sounds absolutely awful, as it's a rom-com where Robin Williams plays a Russian man who defects to the U.S. to seek freedom or something. Sounds awful, but Robin Williams, I'll give it a shot. The Bourne Identity I somehow didn't have. I have Supremacy and Ultimatum. For some reason I don't have Identity, so fix that. Girl Interrupted. Mother. This is not the one from last year, Jennifer Lawrence, which is an incredible film. This is supposedly a really good one, too. This is from Bong Joon-ho, who I believe is the director of The Host, is credit on here. So that's all I'm going to say, because I was about to say Snowpiercer, but I think that's someone different that's very similar in name. I think I might be completely wrong on that. But Big Fish, add to Tim Burton, and this is supposed to actually be really good too, so that always helps. Dazed and Confused for the Linklater collection. Religulous, sounded somewhat entertaining. Basically, Bill Maher talks about how religion is stupid. I'm down for that for for 100 minutes. I'll put up with that for 100 minutes. Sure. Crank. You know, my love of South Park, it runs deep, so had to pick up Orgasmo from Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Yeah. Batman Black and White, the Motion Comics collection. I don't know. It's a Batman thing, and I didn't have it, so I picked it up. The Fall. When I picked this up, it's presented by both David Fincher and Spike Jonze. So I thought, okay, cool. The Dumb and Dumber 2-pack, the first one, and then Dumb and Dumberer. I like that first one. I don't actually think I ever sat through the second one. I don't think I ever watched it. But from what I've heard, I really should not bother. But I own it now, so eventually I will force myself to sit through it at some point. American Splendor, supposed to be a really, really good film. Same deal. The Warriors. Once Upon a Time in the West for Sergio Leone collection. Hunger Games Catching Fire. I own the first, so I felt the need to get the rest when I see them. Moonstruck. Sounds interesting. And, you know, I enjoy Cher and Nick Cage individually, usually. So together, maybe it'll be pure, insane viewing experience. Never Ending Story 2. Yeah. Contagion, the Soderbergh collection. The Dead Zone, Stephen King adaptation, supposed to be really good. Clueless, supposed to be really good as well. Cosmopolis, a Cronenberg film, supposed to be really, really good. A DC animated film, Green Lantern First Flight. The Descent is supposed to be pretty damn good horror film, so happy to get that one. A Most Violent Year. This is another one. I bought it. Has that A24 logo on it. So, yeah. This, actually, I may have made a slight mistake buying this, but this, as the case does state, this is Region 3 locked, which, you know, I'm in Region 1. And I don't have a Region 3 player as far as I am aware. So this may not even play, but I picked it up anyway. This is Japanese import version of City of God, which is a really incredible film. So, you know, I may just use this as a display item. The Animatrix, A House of Flying Daggers, The Curse of the Jade Scorpion. This is a Woody Allen film. That's the only reason I bothered. Jesus Christ Superstar. I enjoy the Broadway soundtrack, so I thought, okay, I'll give the film version a try. Amelie. That's for the Grail pile. The Rocketeer. Supposed to be a pretty good film. One I did quite enjoy. Frozen. Yeah, they had this for $2. They had like 3 copies of this, so I was glad to pick it up. Hugo for the Scorsese collection. Another one I've heard is really, really damn good. Argo. I know Ben Affleck, I hate him in general and everything, but I'll give it a try. Then this just sounded really interesting. This is I'm Still Here, Casey Affleck's directorial debut. And then, of course, he stars in it alongside Joaquin Phoenix. So I thought this could be really, really interesting. You know, I mean, when your back starts with that, you know, these people and their credits blow the roof off of conventional filmmaking, like, okay, you probably actually don't, but you got me interested at least. And then this goes to the Grail pile. So the Grail pile, we got 5, should have been 6 really with what one now, I forget. Anywho, so 5 big time Grail finds. First, this is a Japanese import version, but the case states that it is an all-region disc. The Japanese import of the 200-minute epic 7 Samurai. Kurosawa, yeah, $2 for this. You bet your sweet ass I'm going to take that. Absolutely, I don't even care if it unplay. Next, to add to the Darren Aronofsky collection, Requiem for a Dream. I'm looking for this one for a long, long time. Great film. Finally own it, thankfully. Same deal, but this for the Terry Gilliam. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Incredible film. Just incredible here. That's all I can say about it. On basically kind of a lower tier of Grailhood, this is actually a sealed copy. I'm assuming this is probably resealed. I doubt this is still factory sealed. But the original Halloween 2. And then our final Grail from David Lynch, Mulholland Drive. Yeah, for $2. Now, there were a few Grails. There was at least one I know I missed. Because, you know, it's set up where, you know, you're basically, you know, competing with all these other people to you know, pick out and get what you want before they pick it out. And these, you know, these 2 people right in front of me, this one dude's going through in the box right in front of me, right before I reach out and grab it from basically right in front of him. He pulls a copy out of David Cronenberg's Crash, the movie about, basically the movie about James Spader fucking cars, that movie. He pulls it out about 2 seconds before I'm ready to like sneak right in front of him and pluck it out from in front of him. And then he throws it in his cart, and I don't ever see it again. So, but other than that, this was an incredible haul from the Half Price Books clearance sale on day 1. Of course, I will be going back on Sunday, the last day of the sale. Sometimes they run a special of everything half off. They haven't done that for a couple of years now, so they're probably not doing that anymore, unless maybe the last couple hours of the day where it's, okay, we still have, oh, we have like 8,000 books still. Yeah, we ain't going to fucking load those back on our truck. So, yeah, these are half off. You know, but nonetheless, I will be going back Sunday. You know, they claim they restock daily, which is very believable. You know, I go every day on the first and last. I go every year, every time on the first and last day of both sales, and they usually do. You know, usually most of the great shit, like, you know, the stuff here today, that Grail pile, most of that stuff's, you know, day 1 and it's gone. But, you know, this was a great haul. You know, everything here was $2, you know, so not too bad, really. You know, about $200 worth here. Not too bad here, you know, considering this is one of the, you know, 4 or 5 times, well, one of the, I guess, 7 times a year I really buy movies or anything really like this in a bulk fashion or really at all. That's why I don't do a haul video like ever, like monthly pickups, because I don't really ever buy any except at each of the library sales, which are every 3 months, and then at these 2 half price book sales every year. in June and in October or November, I believe. Sorry. But, some great stuff here. Can't wait to go back Sunday. But that will do it for this episode of Unspooled. Thank you for listening and watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more great content like this. And until the next episode, goodbye.